everyone, thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. I'm Andrea Clem, and I am going to be talking about some pretty powerful aspects on today's show. I'm going to be talking about Mars and Aquarius right next to Saturn, squaring the north node of the moon in Taurus and the south node of the moon in Scorpio. And I'm also going to be talking about the Jupiter Neptune conjunction. These are two very powerful combinations that are happening in our sky, and they do have a very strong effect on us. You've heard me talking about this in past shows, and I thought I'd really go into depth on these more today because they are going to be exact on the Saturn squaring the nodes is going to be exact on April 11th, and on April 12th, Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces are going to be exact, standing right together. Both of these combinations are at 23 degrees in the signs. Saturn is at 23 along with the nodes of the moon, the north and the south node, and Jupiter and Neptune are at 23 degrees. So we look at 24 degrees in the Sabian symbols to get further clarification, further insight on what's happening with these planets. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here, and I know that this has been an extremely emotional week for everybody, and it's mostly because of Mars and Saturn squaring the moon's nodes. It does bring this great emotional depth. So if you're feeling this deep emotion and really being affected by it in your life, this is absolutely normal. So I'm going to talk about this in depth. So the moon's nodes in Saturn have to do with karma. It has to do with emotional ties and bonds and relationships from past lives, as well as the north node, new relationships that are pulling us forward into new forms of self-expression, which is Taurus. So this is about letting go of the past in order to move forward into the future. Easy to say, very easy to say, but not so easy to do, especially if you're someone with a lot of fixed signs like Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. The tendency is to hold on and to want to be in control. So the Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces can have a lot to do with confusion that you're experiencing, chaos, and not being clear about what to let go of and what to hold on to. I know I'm experienced this as well, and it's made me very emotional because I have a little pet bunny who is I've had for 13 and a half years, and she got sick this week, actually with the same thing I had last year, pancreatitis. So we're taking care of her, and luckily I'm not going to be letting go of her, but I have to go with the flow of it, and there's a lot of emotion attached to it. So I do understand everyone. So the Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, like I said, can have a lot to do with confusion, chaos, not being clear of what to do, what to hold on to, what to let go of. So there's certain questions that seem to be the major focus right now, like what is the past and what is the future? Where am I going? What is this all about? Where's the world going? All these things happening for each of us personally and in the world that surrounds us can be very overwhelming. It just seems like there's so much going on, along with the fatalities of war, in addition to the fatalities of this pandemic, and a lot of loss, especially in relationships as well as in areas of income, jobs, and security. So fear can easily take hold and be something that's very hard to get out of. So it just seems that the things people have been holding on to and planning and looking forward to has so many restrictions. And that's primarily Saturn's realm: contraction, limitation, and big boundaries. So it's very hard to know right now how far we can go. Where should we set our focus? What goals are realistic? And what is fantasy? Many of us are asking, will we ever get back to normal, or what does the new normal look like? There are lots and lots of questions going on right now. So I'm going to share with you, and I'm not sure if I did on past shows, the Sabian symbol for Saturn at 23 degrees, because it's in square to the node. So what is the picture? What is the, if you were to explain the feeling that goes with Saturn at 23 degrees of Aquarius? And so if you can imagine this, and you're probably going to really align with this because this energy is universal right now. So imagine a person turning his back on his passions, and it teaches deep wisdom from the experience. So this shows transcending difficulties and things that lure you off your path. So as you move through your life, there's things that are so difficult that it pulls you off your path and it seems like you're constantly being interrupted. You can then turn around and be an example to others of how they can live their lives because you've had these experiences. And I'm reminded of this by reading so many people's stories, life stories, and how they went from suffering to relief. And reading a book that a friend of mine is one of the authors of, it's called The Shaman Heart, Turning Pain into Passion. So, we can all learn from each other's stories, the things that each of us experience, and the value when we're on the other side of that. So, you may feel that you can no longer survive this roller coaster ride of your emotions. It is by controlling your passions that you're going to be able to find an objective position that allows you to understand your life and to move forward. So you can benefit everyone by teaching the new wisdom and understanding that what comes after having gone through some hard life lessons. I have had so many people tell me this week that I never thought I was this strong, but I have survived through this, or I've survived through that, and this is where I'm at now. So once you're conquering your base nature, changing through maturing realizations is really powerful. Reforming one's ways, being an example so others might learn, turning your back on what went before, giving up on emotional growth, dissatisfied with life, dropping society, sticking to things no longer useful, stubborn refusal to move forward. So we can get caught in our behavioral patterns, and we can also be very addicted to old patterns, so we repeat them. So this explains where we're all going through right now, with Saturn in Aquarius squaring the North Node, meaning the direction that we're meant to go, and the South Node in Scorpio is where we came from and what we're still holding on to, which needs to die. Scorpio is a sign of death, transformation, change. And Saturn says it's going to take a lot of work to move forward. And you can't go backward. You need to let that stuff go. It's time. When you have fixed aspects like this going on in the sky, it really encourages you. Fix means that there's nothing we can do. We have to go with this change. It is a definite. So I also want to talk about the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, and I know you've heard me talking about this so much, but it's because it's very powerful. It's not something that happens every day, and it comes exact on April 12th, which is Tuesday. And so Neptune's energy is unlimited and infinite. Jupiter is faith, expansion, and opportunity. So there is this Jupiter-Neptune influence that can make us feel like, let's just forget it all. I'm tired of this. I don't want to experience any more loss. This strong combination of Pisces energy can easily feel like just go and have a drink, or just go and escape, watch a movie, escape from the depression and the news. And this is a lot about Saturn's energy in Aquarius. So if we examine this from one perspective, Jupiter is expansion, Saturn is contraction. We typically, that's the easiest way to remember the energy of these two planets. Jupiter is opportunity, Saturn is limitation. Jupiter is optimism, Saturn is pessimism. Saturn and Jupiter are two different polarities going at odds with each other because they're both very strong right now. And that's why I thought I would talk about them on today's show, because just to let you know that what you're experiencing is normal for where we're at in our evolution. And we also have Saturn is the co-ruler of Aquarius, and Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces. So these two planets are in their rule. Each are in ruling signs. So it means they're stronger, they're more powerful, and they're also in the late degrees of the sign. So, and also Pluto in Capricorn is in a late degrees of Capricorn, in Aries, the goddess of discord, is in the later degrees of Aries. So we have all these late degrees, which are so much the message is about completing things, finding conclusion with things. It can feel like we're trying to carry everything forward with us, not letting go, hanging on tight because it's scary to change and go forward with things we do not know. And that's another part of Saturn's realm. Neptune and Jupiter are about believing, keeping the faith, being optimistic, and to dream big, look beyond the horizon. Look deep and wide, because Pisces is a water sign, and it's about the depth of our being, and it's also about spirit. And so much of this is about old things, about removal, release, death, endings, and closures of what we've known and relied on, especially with government and people and places we have felt supported by. So there's a movement right now towards the North Node in Taurus and becoming self-sufficient. There's so much pressure, and to me it feels like we're getting squeezed and forced to do things all by ourselves. And no matter what we have no matter what goes on, though, we have to remain strong through this. So we all can see things going away, and it's extremely high pressure. These are times where it's really important to not slide down and off a cliff. So you maybe remember me talking about the Sabian symbol for Neptune and Jupiter at they're 23 degrees and some minutes. So we look to the 24th degrees of Pisces. And it's because this is such a huge influence that I'm going to go over it one more time. So here's the Sabian symbol that paints a picture of the feeling and some of the experiences that we might be relating easily with. So it is a picture of a tiny island that seems to be lost in the broad ocean. And we may feel like that, like we're a tiny ocean, a tiny island lost in a big ocean. But there's also on this island, they have happy inhabitants, and they've created a world all of their own. So this is kind of like a dream. This shows living with others, sharing the same space, or efforts to create a happy life. The people pictured all live together and have created a great world all their own. No matter how well people get along, people still have to compromise and give and take in order to sustain good community relations. So they're drawn together by similar hopes and ambitions, and it's ironic that sometimes compromise is the only way to a successful coexistence. Making the most of what is available, even though it is restrictive, will help get rid of these feelings of being cut off and isolated. So who are you comfortable sharing your space with? It's really important for us to ask ourselves right now. Who would you have sharing your desert island? Adaptability and cohabitation, considering others, coexistence. There's a need now for new people to grow and flourish, for new inhabitants, for people moving in together, seeking like minds, social intrigues. And the negative side of this can be cutting off from others, resentment around privacy or space, no chance to be alone, pollution and garbage, noise, loneliness amongst the many, crowding in. So when I think about all of this, it symbolizes the laws of oneness. We are just one light, a spirit in a human form. And I believe, we're all connected and we're spiritual beings, just like little stars falling to the earth that came from one light. When we get here or we're born, we grow and then we individualize. So once on earth, we gather together and become groups and communities and push through life until we return to becoming all one once again. So the indication right now is that we need to release, we need to let go. This is the message of the South Node in Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of death, loss, betrayal, abandonment, all these emotions coming up surrounding things we've desired and wanted. These things could be things that mean a lot to us, like our possessions, our relationships, our bank accounts, business partners, businesses. And it feels like everything is so temporary right now because change is happening so fast, in particular this month of Aries. So the Jupiter Neptune realm is one of spirit, it's one of the divine, it's one of the eternal, not the temporary, but the eternal. So our egos are temporary. And these bodies that we're living in, these avatars, are temporary. This culture, politics, and the wars are also temporary. So then we come back into a body. We live our life, we pass on, we break down. Scorpio is a sign of um, rules 8th house in the chart, and it's the sign that shows up in the latter part of our life when we start to diminish, we start to break down, we start to slowly die. And so then, we reincarnate, we come back into a body with different strengths, different capacities, different soul qualities, ultimately learning infinite love, forgiveness, compassion, acceptance, and then we return back to Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces, the infinite cosmic spirit that we all came from. So Jupiter, Neptune, Pisces is like living in a dream right now. Things don't seem real. They seem surreal. You might feel like you're floating along through life. Those are the influences of Jupiter and Neptune being together. Jupiter is expansion. It's big. It's being under a huge microscope. Where Neptune is, it's typically like being in a dream. So it makes Jupiter's energy expands Neptune. So this is large right now. It's big, it's infinite, and it may feel very surreal. It may feel like you're sensing things so deeply that you just want to escape from it because there's fear of the unknown. So there seems to be a need to consciously accept our personal limitations in order to concentrate and live in a centered and fulfilled life. So this actually sounds quite a bit like Saturn. The message of Saturn is to accept our limitations, concentrate our energies, Mars Saturn, which is a Mars and Saturn thing, and live a centered and fulfilled life. Get real serious about life right now. And I'm going to read you the Sabian symbol for 24 degrees of Pisces, which is the Neptune and Jupiter combination, which is every individualized person, as I talked about before, is like a small island in the vast ocean of humankind. Saturn is the ego fulfilling a necessary function as it sets boundaries and gives a specific character to the consciousness within these boundaries, a complex interplay linking, integrating, and integrating the various aspects of the personal life, trying to operate constructively. So time actually has boundaries, and it doesn't only just expand it, but it becomes a zone of intense interchange between the inner and the outer, between the individual and the community. So the stronger we know ourselves, the stronger we really contain ourselves, the more able and the more intense our interactions can be with others. And this can be a super deep and super fulfilling uh, experience. As temporary as it is, we're always moving on. Just like, when you burn a fire and sparks come up and they descend to the, transcend to the sky, that's us moving through life. You could think about it as like a drop of water dropping into the ocean, becoming part of a bigger energy, a bigger home, a bigger bed, so to speak. Um, so we do need to think of ourselves as island inhabitants, get subsistence from the sea, and in time learn to navigate and interact with others, and realize that we are within the whole earth, which includes everything. And so the return to oneness is the eventual. The main thing I would like to recommend is that you keep moving forward and not get stuck. Just keep flowing, keep flowing. Feel all the feelings, let new feelings come up. The conscious ego doesn't always know what the soul is up to, so we get shocked and we get surprised, and the ego gets thrown around. So whenever I feel this deep sense of sorrow, grief, death, or loss, I close my eyes and remember I am but a spark of light in this whole infinite universe, and that I am special. And I'd like you to remind yourself of that too, that you are a beautiful light combined with all these bigger lights. Like when you look into the sky at night at the stars, you're a part of that whole system. On Earth, we're part of our solar system. And we matter. Each one of us matters. And, so give yourself a hand of support, and also open your heart to go cohabitate with other people, because we all need that right now in this time of extreme change, extreme, uh, everything seems so extreme and so big. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching Turn to the Stars. If you like this video, could you please give it a like and a share? And share it with your friends, share it with your family, so that it makes it easier when we understand what's going on in the world around us. It makes it easier to respond from a place that's not so emotionally charged. And I want to remind all the Aries out there that this is your birthday month, and that there's a 20% off coupon that you can find on my website under birthday birthday gift certificates or birthday gifts. So you could do that for yourself or for a loved one. So everyone, thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. Remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. Take good care. I'll see you next week.